I'm Spencer Burnett. I'm a serial entrepreneur and a recovering burnout addict. Burnout has cost me a lot in the past 20 years that I've been building and running and optimizing businesses. It has cost me a lot of money, a lot of failed projects. It's cost me relationships, and it's cost me my health. It has sent me to the hospital more times than I can count of just working hard and chasing the success, hitting the mountaintop only to fall back down in some area of life. And today I'm going to show you exactly what I did to get out of that and to be in flow all day long. So wherever you are seeing this from, whether you saw it on an ad or a friend sent it to you, or you're in my Facebook group or YouTube channel or wherever else this is, if you are the type of entrepreneur that is addicted to burnout and you want to get out, then what I'm about to show you is going to change your life forever. But first, let's make sure that we've got the right people on this call here. So this training is for entrepreneurs, and not just any entrepreneurs, but a specific type of entrepreneur. The first type is a high-functioning procrastinator. This is, you're a high-functioning procrastinator if you get things done, but there's usually a fire drill that goes with it. There's usually a lot of stress, a lot of multitasking, and you're successful. You've got a great offer. You've got your marketing dialed. You got your sales dialed, but it's just everything's all over the place. Next is the classic burnout addict, the entrepreneur that will build up to a launch and make a big payday only to have everything come crashing back down and feeling like you've got to start all over again, or just working yourself throughout the night and sacrificing your health, your time with your friends, your time with your family. Then there's a self-help junkie. Now, if you are part of a mastermind or you are part of a coaching program, you've gotten thousands of strategies, all of the mindset stuff, but still nothing's changing for you. This is absolutely for you. You're going to want to stick around and see what I'm going to show you today. Who this is not for: the entrepreneurs that are just dreamers. There's a difference between a visionary and a dreamer, and dreamers don't get shit done. Visionaries do. So if you just want to talk big ideas and expect that the universe is going to provide without you doing any action, then this is not for you. The universe will provide, but you've got to do your part too. Next is the perfectionists. Secretly, perfectionism is just fear of failure cloaked in the idea of your own excellence, where it's like, well, I'm a perfectionist. Everything's got to be just right. Oh, you're afraid to fail. And especially in today's day and age, failing forward is the way to build a streamlined, scalable business. So if you're a perfectionist, this isn't going to work for you. And finally, the firefighters. Those that get things done at the last second. Those that show up 5 minutes late for appointments. Those that are constantly asking things from their team, from their mentors, from their clients that they're last second or past due. So if you're any of those three, this isn't going to work for you. If you're open to changing the way that you do things, it might. But if not, or if you're not an entrepreneur, then this may not apply to you. But if you are, like I said, what I'm going to show you is totally different than anything you've ever seen. So in the next 45 minutes, I'm going to actually show you how to procrastinate your most important tasks, how to overcommit yourself to the point where you're at maximum commitment. Next is how to burn yourself out in a way that is useful. How to be a people pleaser and a multitasker. You might be thinking, Spencer, like, I already do all these things here. The reality is most entrepreneurs suffer from one or all of these. If you're like me, you suffer from all of these. And so these procrastination, overcommitment, burnout, people pleasing, multitasking, these are all attributes that creators have, but you're just using them wrong. And once you learn this kind of 2mm shift, it will absolutely revolutionize the way that you get shit done, how easy your day is. But right now, if you're still on this webinar, You probably suffer from the Sunday scaries, the going to bed at night and being anxious about the next day. So we're going to take care of that. So my promise to you is in these 45 minutes, I'm going to show you a counterintuitive strategy to turn all of your tasks into tangible results. So you can finally have an optimized work week that actually grows your business versus working 80 hours a work week and just flatlining your revenue and feeling like you can never get ahead. Before we start, house rules. And this isn't just house rules for what we're doing here today. These are house rules for essentially like getting anything done. And the first thing is quit out of all of your applications on your computer. Like if this problem is worth solving, then it is worth giving your absolute focus to. Next, close out of all the tabs on your computer. I know that you've got multiple tabs open. And next, turn off your phone and put it away. And I've done the same thing. I've turned off my phone. I have, I've closed all my tabs and we're ready to go. All right, next. If you're still on, then this probably sounds like you. You work yourself to the bone, finishing your day feeling exhausted and anxious. You plan to wake up early tomorrow and complete a critical task only to find yourself hitting the snooze button several times. You wake up panicking knowing that everything needs to get done, but convincing yourself that there's no time during the day to do it. You work with 50 tabs open, 2 screens, dozens of things on your task list, and you don't know where to start. You feel like you have a million things to do, but you don't necessarily know what those million things are, so you jump from distraction, and ultimately get nothing done. You then react to everything around you and are constantly confused as to what is important and what's just a distraction. Then you suddenly remember something important and you scramble to find a sticky note, a notepad, OneNote, Evernote, Google Doc in order to get that idea down, only to have that thing slip through the cracks and never be retrieved to actually be completed. You have an endless to-do list, but still nothing gets done until the last 5 minutes. Then, or you find yourself apologizing to your team, to your clients, to your mentors, because you didn't follow through again. And this keeps happening over and over and over. This sounds like my weekdays before I figured this out. So the thing is like, if you continue to break your promise to yourself, your team, and your clients, how far can you really take your business? Because you've already figured out how to create an offer, do your marketing, and all of those things. And the problem is not that you need more strategy. The problem truly is that you don't trust yourself enough to follow through with what you've committed to. It's really that simple. Comes down to self-trust, because your business scales on trust. That's how businesses work. It's all built on trust. And the thing is that if you cannot trust yourself, how do you expect other people to trust you, go in and do business with you, for your clients to trust you with their money and with your guidance, your team to trust you that you're going to follow through? And so this fundamentally is the problem. And once you improve your self-trust, everything gets a whole lot better. You'll wake up in the beginning of the day knowing exactly what needs to get done. So you're not making any decisions. You just step into the task, execute, and things get systematically done. You'll be able to optimize your week so to 40 hours a week. I'm personally at 35 hours a week now. And you'll be able to hit your major milestones without getting nervous or sweating or working, burning the midnight oil. And you'll be able to commit to realistic deadlines, knowing that you're going to be able to complete them. You will not remember the last time that you were truly overwhelmed. And this one sounds a little unbelievable, but it is absolutely true. And you won't stress about making sales, because once you have the ability to create in a short amount of time and take an idea from thought to completion, making money becomes the easiest part of running your business. And then finally, you'll be able to make wise investment decisions based on value and not cost, because that you know that you can get a quick ROI. So when you bring on a new business strategist, when you bring on a new mentor, when you join a new mastermind, when you join a new group, if you have the ability to flawlessly execute on all of the tasks that you get from those high-level strategies, like, it's making an investment is easy when you know that you can follow through. So who am I? I'm Spencer, the recovering burnout addict. And over the past 21 years, I have been a business coach and consultant. I've built 3 different multiple 6-figure businesses in 3 different markets: the relationship space, the fitness and health space, and in the business consulting, entrepreneurship, or what I call business alchemy space. And I've worked with different entrepreneurs in different markets, in all different types of businesses: service-based businesses, coaching businesses, law firms, consulting firms, government agencies. And I've helped them kind of unfuck what's been going on with themselves internally and with the way that they flow and follow through, so they can scale their businesses to 7 figures, 8 figures, or even past that. Now, here's how I came across these shifts, because I wasn't always this way. It took me some time to figure this out. So about a year ago, I had retired from the dating industry, and I started a new offer, a new business around precise language. If you've seen my stuff before, you've seen precise language. And I was doing precise language training for entrepreneurs and helping them get unstuck. And that was the idea. That was the business. So I joined a mastermind, and I hired a coach, and I hired a project manager and to manage the project and to execute and follow through and integrate all the things. And 5 months later, I'd spent 75 or 80 grand, and I had nothing to show for it. And I was wondering, like, why are things not done? So I asked my project manager, like, can you show me like how things are getting done here? And I honestly felt like I needed a PhD to understand the system that he built. It was so complicated. And I was like, well, what did you do for the last 11 hours? And he couldn't tell me, although I was billed. He couldn't tell me. And so I'm like, well, if you can't, this is never going to work. And I talked to my peers, I talked to my mentors, and again, I'm pretty experienced at this stuff. And I was like trying to sort his stuff out. And I figured it would take me less time just to build something new. So we had this internal communication system that could take this complex strategy and turn it into a prioritized linear timeline that is predictable, repeatable, and trackable, without having to incorporate 50,000 different pieces of technology and stuff like that. So I snapped, and I started creating a new method of the way that I built my lifestyle as an entrepreneur, and the way that I function throughout the day, the way that I manage tasks, the way that I manage times, the way that I manage self. And 11 hours later, I cranked out this new system. And I was traveling, by the way, while doing this. So I started incorporating this system, and my output started getting higher and higher than even when I had the project manager. I was able to take the information from the mastermind that I was in and start implementing it into my business, and everything blew up from there. And I thought to myself, like, this is incredible. I had my team working in this system, and then I started inviting my clients that I was doing, inner mindset work with that had businesses to come join us in this process and in this community where we build this lifestyle, where I teach you these shifts that I'm about to show you. So that's how this all came to be. It was out of necessity, because I was suffering so bad and no one could give me answers. So I had to figure it out for myself, and I did. And I documented it. And that's what I'm here to show you today. So the bottom line is, I'm going to show you the 5 most important shifts that I made in all of those areas: procrastination and burnout and people pleasing stuff, and make it possible for you to go to an imposed prison of your own creation, which a lot of times our businesses are, into building a streamlined, scaled business that runs like a well-oiled machine, and you get your sanity back while increasing your profits, your efficiency, and your ability to adjust and pivot quickly and without a whole lot of energetic loss. All right, so first let me show you how burnout works. Okay, so we're gonna break burnout down and then we're gonna flip it on its head, and I'm gonna show you how it's actually not what you think. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So in the beginning here, I wonder if you can see oh yeah, you can see my mouse, sweet. All right, so at first there's a breakdown, and breakdown happens because you didn't follow through with your word. And then that starts happening more and more, and you start to become overwhelmed. And it's just like, this is getting too much. Next step, you medicate. Now, it could be alcohol, drugs, but it also could be TV. It could be mindless social media scrolling. There's a lot of ways that we medicate ourselves. And after enough medication, we soon become lazy. After enough laziness, that turns into shame. After enough time goes by and you feel the shame, it becomes depression, a constant state of sadness when nothing in particular is making you sad. And then finally, you get to this place of feeling like you failed. And failure feels like the worst thing. But in fact, it's not the worst thing. The worst thing is what comes after failure, which is indifference, where you just don't care anymore. And when you start to not care about your vision or the fact that you're breaking commitments, that you're not following through, that you don't trust yourself, that's where suffering happens. And if you don't hit the next step where you hit absolute rock bottom, then it's never going to happen for you. So what I'm going to show you is how to rework this burnout model so you can actually get into flow state and create better. And so it'll all come together at the end. So the first thing is procrastination. This is the number one problem that everyone thinks that they have, that you think that you have, is like, I just put things off to the last minute. Now, procrastination itself is actually a very useful tool. And let's take a look at it. So it's Friday, it's 3 o'clock. You've got something scheduled to be done by the end of the day. And you're like, I'm not going to be able to get this done. And so you're feeling this pressure from the morning because you were supposed to do it Thursday, but it's due on Friday. And you're feeling this pressure, And then finally whoever you're responsible to, the task to, you call them up and you're like, hey, I'm going to have to do this on Monday. And then you tell yourself in your brain, like, okay, I'm going to do it on Monday. And suddenly you feel better. You feel better, although you didn't actually do anything. And so procrastination is tricky because we think that the problem is this needs to get done. So the solution to solving this emotional feeling of this pressure is to get it done. But you hack the system because you didn't get it done and you feel better. Why is that? Procrastination in and of itself is simply just taking a task that needs to be done and allocating it into a time in the future. Essentially, it's planning, just not well. So the way to flip it, to utilize that is to proactively procrastinate, proactively plan when you are going to do your tasks. So many times we take on a project that's 4 milestones and 30 tasks per milestone, and we're like, oh, I'll get it done in a month, without actually knowing, like, how long is this going to take? When do I have time to do this? And so the procrastination so putting off the proactive procrastination or the planning is what creates the pressure. The solution is to plan in the future, and that will make you feel better. But don't wait for the pressure cooker to start, boiling your blood and get you to be super reactive. And so the most important thing the most important tool for any entrepreneur is your calendar, is because your calendar is essentially a ledger of where you intend to put your attention throughout time. And humans can think of many things at one time, but you can only be and do one thing at a time. And so you'll see that this, am I pointing right? Yep, get the finger over there. This used to be my schedule. Now, if you take a look at this schedule here, you see that there's like overlapping boxes. There are, there's 3 things scheduled here. I don't even know what that's about. Take a look at this here. I've got my morning routine at 7 a.m. of which I never woke up for ever. And then I had some, what is this task here? Okay. Talk to my mom and dad, like, while I'm supposed to be in a session. It was just a like Mod Podge of ideas. And so people look at this and be like, this looks stressful. And probably most of you have a calendar that looks like this. And it's chaotic. Oh, I might go to this live training on Friday, but I might not, but it stays on your calendar. It's kind of a maybe. And it's a mess. This is why your mind is so chaotic. And so I remember thinking that I don't want to live in this rat race of this confusing calendar, which some things I do and some things I don't. So I just did this. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do things when I feel like doing them. I'm going to let my emotions, like when I'm going to make sure that I'm emotionally feeling good in order to execute something. That's wonderful. And that works until it doesn't. Because what this calendar says is that you are owned, like your ability to fulfill a task is completely dependent on the emotion that you're feeling that day. And the reality is life happens. And so this is actually a more dangerous calendar than this. But once I figured out how to take all of the inputs of the 20 people on my team and the dozens of clients and the 9 projects that we're working on, how do I know what to do, or how do I figure out how to sit down in the morning and just do the thing while all the plates are continually spinning? If I could just do that, that would be awesome. So I thought the solution was a project manager, but it turns out I needed to manage myself so I could show someone how to manage me. And that was the missing piece. So once I figured out our, this workflow system that I teach in our Level Up group in our Flow State program, once I taught this like workflow process, I was able to turn my calendar from this to that to this right here, where everything is linear. Everything is color-coded based on the type of activity that it needs to be done. As you can see, I've got tons of open space. I'm never working past 8 o'clock. I'm like, this was literally my last week. And as you can see there on Sunday night, I worked on the webinar, which was actually fun for me. So, it's just, I wake up in the morning and I'm able to just step into whatever it is that I need to do, focus on that one thing. And by the end of the week, when I look back, I literally can see exactly how long it takes me to get stuff done. And it's because I preemptively plan my time, and I'm a non-negotiable with this calendar. Like if it's on there, I'm doing it. And so that totally changed the game for me. So procrastinating is simply just allocating time in the future to do a particular task. The key is to do that preemptively and do it consistently, and have a system to take all a project management system, essentially, that takes all the thoughts and puts them into place so you can choose what the most important things are. Next, overcommitment. So we say yes to too many things, and it's a problem because we want to be everything for everybody. And we love to feel valued, and we always feel like we can always, turn up the heat a little bit and burn a little bit extra gas to get something committed. And if you're a successful entrepreneur, then you know that opportunity management is a real problem. Like, what things are going great, so what do I actually commit to? And so the place where you overcommit should not be in the amount of tasks that you take. You should actually take less tasks. You should agree to less. You should make less agreements. You should do less projects. You should have less JV partners, just do less, but do better. And so the overcommitment comes in the form of, when you have a task, the actual commitment to that task is 110%. it's non-negotiable. Whatever I agree to, I complete. Whatever I commit to, I complete. And so I'm very cautious on what I commit to. When you do that, you start to build trust in yourself, because that of which you plan gets followed through on, you follow through on. After that, you can start planning bigger things. You can start taking more risks because you have the certainty and the regular cadence of things getting done. It's about expectation management. So when it comes to overcommit to less tasks and undercommit to the amount of tasks that you take. Whenever someone comes to me with a good idea, tells me that I should do merch or something like that, I'll say, hey, that's a great idea, and we can do that in 4 months. Because I am properly committed and planned, I know when a project like that would be beneficial for me without even having to look at my calendar, because I just know it, and with full certainty that we will complete that project in a timely manner on whatever due date we decide that it is. Next is burnout. So burning out simply just means that you have hit this rock bottom point where you need some rest. And we've all been there before. I'm sure you've been there before, where you've got a launch and or a new product coming out or a new website coming out, and there's a particular date that you promised the market that it would be there, and you burn the midnight oil. You're stressing yourself out, and then like at some point you're like, I can't do this anymore. And so then you take a 2-week long vacation, or you'll get away for a month, somewhere else, and finally decompress, only to come back and start that cycle all over again. I got news for you. This is never going to end, ever. Actually, the burning out process, it is what makes you stronger, what makes your business grow. You just have to sensitize yourself to it better. So what I mean by that is the threshold of which you decide that you're going to rest becomes way more sensitive than it used to be. For me, it was like when I hit 80 hours a week, I'm like, okay, Spence, this is enough, man. Like, you're going to hurt yourself. That now happens at 50 hours for me. So I just moved my threshold over. Then the recovery takes less time, and the burnout is less painful. But I'm able to recover in a way without losing my frame, without losing my health, without losing my cool, without losing my mind, to be honest. So the key is to sensitize yourself to the burnout. Next is people pleasing. This is a funny one. Being a people pleaser. It's interesting the way the stories that we tell around our behavior is, I overcommit. I say yes to too many people, and I put other people's opinions, higher than my own opinion. I don't let other people down, but I let myself down. And it's interesting how punctual you'll be for a meeting with someone else relative to how punctual you are when you sit down to plan to write something, or shoot a video, or to look over your numbers. Like, there's a disparity between there, because there's something innate in us that wants to be liked, that wants to be celebrated, that wants to be approved of. There's a child inside of you that likes the pat on the head that says, hey, you did a good job. You're good. And it makes you feel great. And that's where the people pleasing comes from. And that's also never going to go away. So how do we leverage the opinions of others, caring what other people think about, to actually create a peer pressure for us to be at our most excellent? And that is what accountability is. Because you don't want to show up in a meeting with your tail between your legs when you're on with your team and you committed to whatever task you committed to, and then you come back and like you didn't do it. And so when the right people, when you put value in the opinions of the right people, you start to, people that you respect, you start living up to your word and start living up to the standards that they have for themselves, because you become like the 5 people that you hang around most. And so the people that you're trying to please the most are, especially in getting shit done, are the masterminds that you're in, the clients that you have, the mentors that you have, and the team that you have, right? And so setting up accountability in order to do that. So in our Level Up group, we've got 2 main forms of accountability. We've got one is deep work sessions. So essentially we've created like a digital co-working space on Zoom where you come in, state your intention. What is it that you're here to create? You state what you're committing to for the next hour, 2 hours, or however many long. We have this 16 hours a week. We have this available for all of our members. And then we put you in a focus room where all of your tabs are shut down, all your applications are down, your phone's down, and you work on that thing until completion. And if it's not done, you've got to like answer to the coach, like, hey, what happened? And then we troubleshoot from there. No shaming. We just evaluate, like, did you underestimate? And we start helping you like plan better. And then another way that I started doing accountability was in our Facebook group. So anytime that one of our members has a critical task that needs to be done that they want some accountability on to make sure that they follow through, we do a post on Facebook in our private group and we tag their name in it, and it goes out 10 minutes before their task is supposed to get done. And then they need to say that they're on it, and they need to say when they've completed it. And if they don't, our coaches come hunt you down and make sure and ask you like, what's going on? And this triggers people's people pleasing mechanism, and you actually get way more stuff done. And there's a lot of ways to build accountability, but that's what I found for accountability in the people pleasing is to have accountability like that. And then finally is we discuss things over meetings instead of discussing things over email or text. So at that point, if you let everyone down, it's not just an email or a text, like you have to look them in the eyes, or at least through the screen, in the eyes, and feel that shame. And we'll go into that in just a second. Finally is multitasking. Multitasking is a creative person's way of saying that I have a hard time focusing, but you're still productive. So like there's an excusability about it. The reality is that you only have one attention. You can only focus on a single thing at this time. I can't be showing you my presentation here while also being on the phone or cooking food or being on a roller coaster or an airplane. And my attention would constantly be, shifting to one thing or the next. So although we can only do one thing at a time, we can be aware of multiple things at a time. And this is where you want to multitask, is in your awareness. And there's only 3 things that you need to focus on doing that will make everything else in your business and in your life run like a well-oiled machine. Okay? Only 3 things that you need to focus on. What is my intention? What have I committed to? And what did I do? And if your intentions, your commitments, and your actions are all the same, that's what we call integrity. And so when you are aware of those 3 things on a consistent basis, everything gets better. Because then it's only a matter of strategy. When you have your intentions, your commitments, and your actions all being the same thing. And so that's the way to multitask, with your awareness. With your focus, you singularly task. Do one thing at a time. And so this happens to a lot of entrepreneurs because the creative mind, the awareness, can pay attention to multiple things at one time. And they think that their human creation mechanism works the same way as their mental and spiritual creation mechanism. It doesn't. It drops a dimension and makes it linear. And so that's where people get caught up in the bridge between the idea world and the action world. So finally, this is when you put all this together, here's what actually happens. So when you have integrity and you're commitments, your intentions, your commitments, your actions are all the same thing, you avoid the breakdown. When you avoid the breakdown, overwhelm simply of like all the tasks you need to do, you still have all those tasks, but they just become a challenge and it doesn't burn you out. And when you feel challenged and you complete a challenging workday at the end of your 8 hours or however long you want to work, then instead of medicating, you take care of yourself. You eat well, you get rest, you spend time with friends, you spend time with families, you spend time doing something for just the sake of joy. That's how you recharge. And when you give yourself self-care, your laying around doesn't become laziness. It's simply just rest. And so once you're well rested, then you feel content, where everything is just pretty good, right? It's a great place to be. Now, the next step is once everything's feeling good, pardon me, then discontent comes in. And this is where the creation process starts to bubble, because everything ever in the history of anything was created from discontent. The chair that I'm sitting on right now was made by a person who was sitting on the floor and said, you know what? This isn't great. You know what would be awesome? And creation came from there. So discontent becomes dissatisfaction. Like discontent is like, I'm sitting on the floor here. And dissatisfaction is like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. So the next part becomes a very critical part. Indifference becomes surrender. And they're essentially two sides of the same coin, just with two different emotions attached to it. Because surrender is simply just not caring and being okay with it. Indifference is not caring and not caring about not caring. And it's a double negative that just keeps going down. And once you surrender to the idea that, you know what, if I never make a chair in my life, then I will still find a way to be happy. And if I don't build this business, I will find a way to be happy. And then after that, there becomes a reflection. Okay, well, what do I want to create? And that reflection of what you want to create becomes a desire. And that desire becomes motivation. The motivation becomes your plan. Then you actually do. Then we go into these shifts. And when you have an idea, you plan it out. How long is it going to take? What does it look like when it's done? And how am I going to get this done? What's the pathway to getting there? What assets do I need? What technology do I need? And then once you make that plan, you make a decision by taking action. No decision ever was made without action, because an action or a decision is when you act on your commitment of your intentions. And so once you take that action, then you get the result. You get the outcome. You make the sale, you do the launch, you sell the program, you sell it, you get the result that you want. And once you're in this creation cycle and into this flow state cycle, then the only game that you're playing is discovery and integrity. What else do I need to do? And what am I going to commit to? And once you keep that going, then it's only a matter of time before you build, have, be, experience whatever it is that you want to experience in your life. And so you see the burnout cycle and the flow state creation cycle are the same exact thing. The difference is to be in integrity is focus on those three, on multitasking your attention on your commitments, intentions, and actions. The next step is to sensitize yourself to your breakdown. So instead of letting all of this shit hit the fan, maybe just a little creak on the floor will perk you up to say, hey, I see that problem as a challenge, and becoming more sensitive to that, and getting rest and taking care of yourself before you absolutely need it. That's what put me in the hospital dozens of times. Now I'm more sensitive to it. I used to go into the hospital, I had an autoimmune disease that put me in gave me 105, 106 degree fevers. And I don't suffer from those anymore because of this. because I sensitize myself to, instead of when I'm on the floor and I black out from pain, and then I decide that I'm going to change, I'm going to get some rest where my body demands it. Instead, when I get a little twinge of a headache, when I get a little bit of a swollen gland, I back up and say, okay, let's go to self-care. Let's go to rest. Let's feel content. Let's do some meditations. Okay. Now it's like, okay, I'm feeling better, a little discontent, then the creation cycle happens again. So we think that the solution here is that you always have integrity. And I thought, well, great, I figured this out, always have integrity. Well, it doesn't always happen. So what happens when you break integrity? That's where the support system comes in. That's where the mindset work comes in. Because you don't have this big mindset, limiting belief, imposter syndrome. You're already successful. Where the monsters come in is in the moments. You were supposed to do this task at noon. You didn't do it. So I want to ask you, what were you doing at 12 o'clock that was more important than this? Because then we can go a little bit deeper and actually see what is standing in your way, as opposed to, amping yourself up with music or like giving $500 away to a charity that you hate if you miss something. No, like when you break your integrity, it's an opportunity, it's a challenge to create a new way. And so we're constantly going to break integrity, like you're human. So like putting yourself on that, that's why I said this is not for perfectionists. Like you are a human being that is going to screw up. And so having the support system, but also learning having the mentor to help you alchemize what went wrong there. So in the future, instead of that happening over and over and over again, it never happens again. And now you are better infinitely in that area. And so it's all about maintain integrity. When you break integrity, accountability, and create a new way, improve yourself, get back in integrity. So as humans, like we need the series of all of these things, of paying attention to your integrity and having the right strategy, having the accountability, having someone support you in the day-to-day decisions that you make, and helping you reframe your mind when you break those promises. So overall, here's what you need to win. Here's what you need to do to win. You need to strategically procrastinate. You need to overcommit to less things, break down and recover quickly. You need to please people by following through with the people that you committed to. And you need to focus on 3 simple things: your intentions, your commitments, and your actions all being the same thing. So at this point, this is a fork in the road. You have a choice. You can continue to go at that pace, this pace, this camera. You can continue to go at that pace and be addicted to burnout. But how long can you go while you're in a constant state of burnout and overwhelm? Burnout activates your willpower, and your willpower is limited. So burnout is not sustainable. So you can stay in this place of chaos and burnout and sacrifice your life force for the sake of your business, for the sake of profit. Your business is going to grow in direct proportion to your ability to fail gracefully. And this is why it requires a community and mentorship. This is why we get mentors and join communities, so we can fail gracefully. And most entrepreneurs spend time trying to be perfect rather than learning how to fail in a way that improves you and that's graceful. So my question is, how gracefully do you fail? Are you on this roller coaster? Is it a total shit show? Or are you constantly improving yourself no matter what happens? The more integrity you have, the more self-trust you build, the more that you screw up, the smarter and more articulate your plan and wisdom become. Oh, that's backwards. See? Perfectionism. So you can take these strategies and train yourself to consistently live in a flow state. It's a simple framework where work feels like a fun activity, a right set of challenges, clear set of intentions and goals, and it's effortless yet intense practice where you lose track of time. That's why we have the calendar. But like, the reason you became an entrepreneur was for the creativity, the freedom, and the impact. But it just has turned into this quagmire of overwhelm. And the thing is like, it's so disheartening. I've seen so many entrepreneurs like, you're so good at what you do, but you're not good at being good at what you do. That's what workflow is. And there's a lot of things that get in the way. Everything from your emotions, old stories. Like, we don't really have one of my mentors, Alex Moscow, says we don't have business problems. We have personal problems that show up in our business. We have spiritual problems that show up in our business. So I'm going to show you how I can help you with all of this and have you join us in the way that we build an entrepreneurial lifestyle. So a lot of people try to do entrepreneurial things, write the sales page, write the emails, do the lives, have an interview, add more SKUs to your inventory. So here's how I can help. I've built a program. I've built a number of programs, but this specific one is what I'm talking about, that specifically helps you with these 5 element shifts so you can accelerate how fast your company moves and actually gets the result. So Level Up is the community program that I built that is specially for entrepreneurs that identify as high-functioning procrastinators who know what they need to do and struggle to get it done, which is a super painful place to be. And we've built an entire system around that. Now, this is not, like I said earlier, like, this is not for everybody. I have seen people join the program and fail. And the problem was we didn't have this conversation first. Because if you're not ready to take personal responsibility for your commitments, not going to work. If you're in a place where in your business where you're trying to bootstrap everything and you're, just meeting people to try to pick their brain, like this doesn't work. Like, you've got to be a business owner that takes action and knows how to show up, because ultimately that's how you succeed in this program is you show up, you follow the steps, you get the results. It's that simple. And finally, if you're not serious about your mission, so I was talking about the dreamers. Like, if you have a great idea that what you think would be good, there's not enough pressure in the creation cycle. Like, there needs to be pressure in that. And if you're not on fire for what you're doing, like, it's not going to work. So the reason that I have made an application for hopping on a call with us is because I want to make sure that we are a good fit. And if we are, this is absolutely going to change the way that you function forever. Okay. So if you're done breaking your word to yourself, if you're done with not trusting yourself anymore, if you're done being addicted to burnout and you're ready to scale your company, turn it into that well-oiled machine that 2X's or 10X's, then you can book an audit call with either myself or one of our flow state specialists. And what we're going to do in this call is we are going to go over like where it is that you're at in your business right now. Where are the bottlenecks? What are the biggest problems? And then go a little bit deeper and figure out like, why are you even doing this? Because there has to be passion behind your business. Because I'm going to be honest with you, in the hundreds of entrepreneurs that I've worked with individually, there's one thing that I find to be universal is that the money itself is often not worth it. There has to be something more that drives you forward to building your creations than just wanting to make some money. And so we're going to talk about that as well. And as we go through what challenges you're having and what circumstance you have and what it is that you're looking to create, we can guide you down the right path of which one of our programs would be best for you. So go ahead and you can go to this link here, sb.2.vu/burnout, and you can apply to be in our Level Up group, and you will hop on a call with one of myself or one of our team members, and we will help you get out of burnout and build that well-oiled machine so you can have your life back, be good at what you're good at, or be good at, we're going to help you out. Be good at, How to be good at being good at what you're good at. We'll help you optimize your day. And that's it. All right, everybody. I got to bounce. It's been a slice. See you on the call.